What's going on, y'all? It's J Smo Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man. Bringing you guys, of course, following Summer Madness weekend, my Summer Madness 15 recap. Overall, enjoyed watching the event. Of course, there's some standout things to talk about, both good and bad. Overall, I think this was a pretty good event. And before we talk about the battles themselves, I've started to, like, in my recaps, talking about, like, the production of the event, how it ran for the most part, just how I felt as an experience. And like I said, overall, I felt pretty good. About hour and a half delay. Battle rap for you. Thankfully, since this happened in the UK, it started early in general. So even though it started late, I pretty much just watched football till like 12:30, which I still watch football for a bit. But then SM got going, and then it was like a little over 5 hours of runtime. The intermissions were like barely there, so the event ran through pretty smooth. Couple times there was some audio issues in the night, but like nothing too crazy. Like even when Twork had audio issues, a lot of that had to do with him like putting on the jacket as a prop. I know T-Top had a couple moments that his audio was fucking with him. But overall, like, production-wise was good, and the UK crowd was great. You know what I'm saying? At least as a watching experience, they added to the battles. You could tell they were excited to hear raps, but they also weren't so over the top that, like, if people were rapping bad, I know that they booed a couple. They booed Geechee Gotti. We'll talk about his performance tonight, but they'd be silent. Like, it was a fair crowd. They weren't over the top. It was just the right amount of energy for a big stage event and to like help the footage in this situation. So overall, I will say a lot of lopsided results. I believe I called every battle clear here on my first watch for all of them. Maybe I'll feel different as I keep watching, or some of you guys feel different. But that leads to like quicker talking points about battles, but also more definitive ones. I can get like kind of right into what I want to say about each battler. But with all that being said, only a 5 battle card, which I also love, and we'll start from the beginning of the night. So first battle to talk about is Arsenal versus Eunice, which was a huge opportunity for Eunice here on SM and Gnome in the same year. And going into the battle, I predicted Arsenal. It's something I do not do very often, but I thought everything had lined up perfect. Not just the momentum of the Jazz battle and how good of a performance that was for him, but then going to London versus a newer battler, I thought that, as my boys Titus and Q would say, he put his battle rap sorcery into effect and kind of just outvet Eunice. And it didn't go that way at all. I should have stuck with what I had my prediction as for months potentially with this matchup, and that is Eunice, who just has more firepower, and he showed it so early in the battle. I mean, first round of the battle, Eunice has really one of the better rounds of the night. There's a couple rounds later in the night that end up being better, but Eunice's first is powerful, tons of haymakers and flips, playing into the UK crowd well. Like, he rapped first in the first battle, and he took advantage of all that energy. And Arsenal at the top of his first pulled out. He has the Arsenal jersey on, goes to his slogan. He had a haymaker earlier versus Eunice too. And Arsenal is like a pretty good first, but Eunice just has a better first. And it feels like Arsenal is even a little unclean, not all the way there pace-wise. So even if he doesn't like flat-out choke, definitely battling a week after the Jazz battle. Like, it took a toll on him fatigue-wise in terms of delivery. But Eunice wins the first, and he really wins the second too. I see some people saying this round's debatable. No, it's not. Like, I think Arsenal's second is a bit better than his first, a little bit more competitive, because Eunice shellacked him in the first round, but he clears the second round too. So it just happens to be a respectable Arsenal performance, but Eunice is on a different level, and he had to show the difference in writing and just be more tailored to win this battle, and he just did that tenfold in the first 2 rounds. Third round of the battle, I thought Eunice tried some different things. A little bit of a slower start, and Arsenal's best round is the third. So I actually have Arsenal edging the third round of this battle. I think a lot of people have Arsenal winning as well. If you give Eunice the third, I won't be mad, but I gave Arsenal the third, so I'll just put it like that. But I had Eunice 2-1 clear, so Eunice has a clear win over Chess on Gnome, then gets a clear win over Arsenal on SM, both of his debuts there. So yes, he loses some in-between battles here and there. I think I'm not going to say made a habit, but I look at like the Holmesy battle, the franchise battle, the Los Prime battle. These are ones he's predicted to win, and he loses, but when he faces these top tiers, especially these URL-style top tiers, his record for the most part is impeccable, and now he's doing it on big stages. So huge shout out to Eunice. Some people put him in the performance of the night convo. I wouldn't put him in like the top 1 or 2. I'd say he's like the 3rd or 4th best performer of the night pretty clearly, though. Like, he definitely was one of the bigger winners of SM, and he showed that in the opening battle. From there, we get into one of our two big debuts, and this is probably the bigger one that more people cared about. That is A-Ward versus T-Top. And this is a battle where behind Twork and Lux, and even for some right there with it, A-Ward finally getting on URL and battling is almost as important as a God tier level plate like that. So there was high expectations, like no other way to put it. All this time built up. T-Top is a very worthy opponent, like makes sense. He's a legend in his own right. And then he has that ability, like he did earlier this year versus Miss Hustle, to like reach a high level where he's hard to beat, even for someone on a debut like A-Ward that has everything going for him. And I hate to say I'm extremely disappointed in this battle. And some people I think everyone for the most part was disappointed. This definitely didn't end up being one of the better battles of the night. I think some of the segments of this battle are some of the lower points of SM as a whole this year. Is it like the worst battle I've ever seen? No, it's nothing like that. But it's definitely it's not a good battle. Like, I definitely would not call it a good battle by any means. It starts out in the first. A-Ward has a solid first round, even maybe a step above solid, right? It wasn't, and maybe this is just too high of the expectations for like Ward being on URL, where I thought he's about to bring the building down. Like, I had Ward as the performer of the night going into this event. I thought he was going to have a special debut on URL. His first is solid. It has some haymakers, some good rapping ability, but it doesn't feel great. It was a good round that a great T-Top round could be. So I was a little worried there because I'm figuring T-Top's pretty locked in. A lot of people have been doubting him in the predictions here. Pretty much everyone I've talked to and heard from has A-Ward winning this battle, it feels like. So I thought Top would make a statement. And he starts out with this whole welcome to URL. He had the joke about Nunu, kind of describing like the staff, how things work around here. I thought that was a fun little opener. Had some haymakers to follow and good material. And at one point, I'm like, okay, T-Top has a little bit of a longer round, but I think material-wise, he's just gotten there. He's gotten the first from Ward. And then he just kept rapping in the first. And I'll tell you what, I have T-Top still edging the first round of this battle. I'm not even mad if someone has a Ward in the first round, to be honest with you. But man, T-Top rapped about a 15-minute first round. And it's things like that that took the energy out of this battle. Like, T-Top's first, even though it had some good in it, is draining. Like, I saw some people when we did our recap on the LTBR group chat podcast, people that were in the building saying, like, yo, T-Top's first, like, drained the energy from the battle damn near. And he does it again kind of in the second round of this battle. T-Top just rapped way too long. And I don't know if strategically, like, just rapping so long would maybe take the steam out of Ward's round afterwards, but it just took the steam out of everything, including his round. So, big reason I don't like this battle is how long T-Top was rapping. But then you get to their seconds. I don't think either of their seconds are good. They both take angling routes, a little bit of comedy routes. T-Top ends up bringing up, Ward's brothers old past drug addiction, and there's almost so many weird angles that T-Top goes with, and like trying to dissect like the Horseman, all these different ways he's going, trying to attack A-Ward. Like, it's everywhere. There's nothing, like, there's T-Top, the amazing angler that has done some, like the third versus Nitty, the counter writing versus Arsenal versus Av, right? And then there's the T-Top that early in the caffeine era got a lot of critique for being gossipy, or the angles just being everywhere. He's so disorganized, especially in this second. Like, I don't like Ward's second, but I really don't like T-Top's second. Like, it's not a matter of Ward won because he was great. It's a matter of he won just because T-Top did worse. Third round of the battle is the one saving grace. I love A-Ward's third. It's the best round of the battle. 3 of those thirds might have been what I was kind of expecting in terms of his performance overall. And he's definitely just the better battler here. So he won the second round of the battle, and he also clears the third round of the battle. T-Top's third might be his worst round. It got even worse than the second. I mean, just a very bad T-Top performance as it went on. But I had A-Ward winning this battle 2-1. Like I said, second and third. His third is the best round of the battle. It feels like the best round of the battle by a lot. And I edged T-Top the first round. But overall, as you can tell, I'm not going to OD act like it's the worst thing ever. But for me, even though It's mostly because of T-Top. Ward could have done a little bit better too, and it could have been a better battle just all the way around. Third battle of the night is Rock versus Fonz, and this might be the one that I have almost like the most feelings about. I'm the most like excited to talk about after the fact, but there's parts of it that disappoint me as well. It's like this battle is like a roller coaster of emotions, to be perfectly honest with you, and it's a battle that I said would be a dark horse contender for Battle of the Night. And I can tell you now, even though I have the result of this clear, because it just is a clear result, there's a clear winner, I still have this as Battle of the Night. I think Rock versus Fonz ended up being the closest thing we had to a back and forth. In the first round of the battle, Fonz is first. Is probably how a lot of people, and just this first is how a lot of people saw the whole battle playing out when they were doing predictions. Not myself, but a lot of people that thought that Rock was just going to walk him. Fonz is good in the first round. There's good moments, a couple haymakers, but it's more like the wittier side. He's finding his footing with the crowd. There is no Twork finding his footing with anything. Twork is going to automatically start bombing. So Fonz has like a solid first, but Twork just outmatches him. And it's not just the content where, if there's one thing you're going to argue, it's that maybe Fonz was a little better bar for bar, but Rock's pretty much there as well. But he has more haymakers, he has more performance, and he's rapping it so much more confidently. The way he's flowing through his material, landing his punches, talking shit in between the punches, interacting with the crowd and camera angles. Like, it's the masterful Rock that beat Luke Castro, that beat Jay the Nightwing, that beat Real Sick. So it's like, okay, we've seen this play out. And then, in my opinion, like the most exciting part of the night happened. And that is Fonz's second round for Twork, where he is rebuttal off rip talking about, Rock had a really good Buckingham Palace, like the Buckingham Palace guards, he had a bar about it. And Fonz had said, that's a funny for someone that be holding the door. Buckingham Palace, they're guarding the door. So he has that rebuttal, and people liked it. Good rebuttal. And then Fonz never turns back. And this ends up being, in my opinion, I've decided after watching, the only thing I've rewatched is Fonz's second round, the best round of Fonz's career. He takes it, and he's taken it to some high levels before. Like, Fonz has done some great things at this point. 4 SMs, 4 gnomes, litany of different top-tier opponents in, like, different bigger rooms, smaller rooms, but he probably had 10-plus haymakers in his second round versus Rock. I mean, he was angling. He was performing the misdemeanor. Like, he even got into the whole gay angles and tranny angles versus Rock. And, like, usually, if you had told me beforehand he was going to have, like, a round, like, a long part of a round that's like that, I would have told you it's a horrible idea. Never gets pulled off. Mook and Daylight did it. Otherwise, no one ever, they lose. Usually they use it versus Rock. He was landing that with effectiveness. The whole Rock, and the Rock says it doesn't matter. For those that have seen it, one of the moments of the night, one of the moments of the battle, it was a 10 out of 10 second round, and like a true Summer Madness moment for Fonz, where it was so good that it was kind of unbeatable. Like, Rock was solid in the second, but it felt like he even cut his round early. Like, there was nothing that he could do to take that round from Fonz. That's a crazy thing to say against Twork on Summer Madness. You get to the third round of the battle, and the crowd is still very much wanting to hear Fonz, and his third round material is good, but he's stumbling so early. And his confidence is completely different than the second. It's almost like he just put everything he had into that second. He didn't have anything left. And he cuts his round early in the third before he chokes. And just basically throws away the third. And you can, like, the crowd, like, gasp and they're upset. Because I think once you start seeing a possible upset or something special happening, people start buying into it one by one. So now by the time you hit the third, Fonz is taking the crowd from Rock and has full control of the battle. But he's just not able to follow through and complete the battle. And Titus made a good point to me. He's done this before. Third round versus Geechee on Gnome, he doesn't really follow through. Third round versus Miss Hustle when he was going to clear, he doesn't follow through. Like, there's battles where he does complete it, 30, he gets it done. I think Fonz has got, he's actually more prone to giving 30s than most top tiers are, but in big moments like this, sometimes he jams up, and this is an example of it. Rock's consistency prevails, as it does more times than not. Probably the most consistent battle rapper of all time in the GOAT conversation, and he's seen monsters before. So that Fonz second, impeccable, special, my favorite round, by far, round of the night on Summer Madness, and it shows that Fonz can fight at this level for the few that still doubt him. But Rock just had more across all three. So Rock clearly wins first and third versus Fonz, but Fonz' second was special and still for me ends up being the best battle of the night. From there you go into, I guess, what would be the co-main event, which is Shadi Hora versus Geechee Gotti. Geechee coming across the water to battle Shadi. And this is the one I have the least to talk about, because if there is a contender or something you'd say for body of the night, this would be it. Geechee Gotti just really didn't give a fuck. And Shadi Hora absolutely did. This was a very good Shadi Hora across all three. I probably like it a little less than his performance versus K-Shine. But obviously, I feel very highly about that. You could debate Shadi Hora as the performer of the night here. I might have him as second for performer of the night. Runner up to the winner of the main event that we'll talk about next. But you could, if someone told me they have Shadi's performer of the night, that's another answer, one of the two answers I wouldn't be mad at. His first, I think, was his best round. His second was still good. I mean, really, he's just good across all three. He's surgical. He's good bar for bar. His pacing's good. He's controlling the crowd. It is his crowd, and it felt like that the whole time. Geechee is a good first, but he's not clean. So I was like, it's not the cleanest, a little stumbly, but there's like moments here in the first. Second, he cares less. Third, he cares even less than that. Full on West Coast clips. That's what I'm calling this version of Geechee. And I've seen Geechee technically be worse in battles before, but considering like this is Summer Madness and a matchup I was actually looking forward to, it just seemed like extra disrespectful to not give a fuck. It is just not good. It's just not good. I had Gotti getting his ass whooped. This is a 3-0, and I think it's right on the border. If you want to call it a body, I'm not mad at it. It felt a little body-ish by the end of the third, but at the very, very least, it's just a 3-0 whooping from Shadi Hora, who holds it down on and ends up being a top 2 performer on Summer Madness 15, going down in the UK. That's how it should go. He called out Mook. I don't know if I immediately want to see that, but Mook's talking about he wants to battle in the UK. I guess I wouldn't hate Mook versus Shadi Hora, considering Shadi is like the Mook of the UK in a sense. But yeah, Shadi whooped the shit out of Geechee, and Geechee was really by far the most disappointing performer on the whole card. And that leaves you with New Jersey Twork versus Loaded Lux. It's the God tier match. It's the one that gets the most talked about after the fact. Maybe this week I'll do a bar for bar for it, considering I did one for Mook versus Hitman. And speaking of Mook versus Hitman, I felt like a similar thing played out here. A Harlem legend took a performance-heavy superstar and completely showed levels, to be honest with you. And I didn't see it playing out exactly like this. Of course, I had Twork 2-1 edge going into the battle. I thought his explosiveness plus his writing ability, he'd be able to match Lux in that creativity, but taking the crowd from him. And Twork, no coin toss, like yells over smack to start the battle. And I thought he could snatch the energy. Twork's first is his best round of the battle in hindsight. And I think it's good. It has some explosive haymakers. The strapped in into the Jesus take the wheel, but he's on the other side. The UK car references, the wheel being on the other side. Like, I thought that was a bomb. He had a more pen-heavy approach in the first. And I think, like many people do with God tier battles, and I've seen Twork, he's had God tier battles before. He beat Mook in New York, and I thought you'd see a performance similar to that. Straight explosiveness, take the room from him, take the energy to a place where they're not able to take it, so the crowd still gravitates towards you. I thought in this battle, Twork overthought his approach, and I think a lot of people versus God tier sometimes do this, thinking, I have my strengths, but I have to be more than that for this battle. And I don't think Twork had to be more than that for this battle. And in the first, it feels like he's trying to match Lux on the more, like, wittiness throughout the setups. Like, in terms of how the material's written, Twork's first is more penned and more structured than he usually is in other battles. And it's witty and it's good writing, but it's not like the bombs. It doesn't play into the superpower that he has and the advantages he has, particularly over Lux. So while Twork has a good first, like very good material-wise, you kind of feel like it's not enough the whole time. Like there's something missing. And then Lux goes in the first, and he really starts off with a roasting session. Just straight jokes making fun of Twork's appearance, and it's prolonged. But he gets the crowd on his side, and then masterclass from there. I mean, he's rapping as good as Twork was, putting together the witty lines and a little bit, rewind and find type of rapping. Lux is the master of that. You're playing into his game. And that's not even to mention, Twork's first is so long. He is this whole similar to what Arsenal did in his third versus Miss Hustle, like having someone dressed up like himself to kind of talk to. Twork put on like the suit, you know what I'm saying, that Lux put on versus Calico, and kind of had like a conversation with himself. I think it's like beat Lux to the punch if Lux is going to have like talk to Twork soul segment. But that lost me the whole like last 3 or 4 minutes of Twork's first. It actually took away from it a good amount. Lux goes in, and he's rapping, back to Lux's round, just rapping circles around him. The flow of it, what he's saying within it. He's landing haymakers all throughout. His wordplay is impeccable. His presence, like he has the crowd in the palm of his hands. And he's even a little bit more explosive than Twork, having some of the higher highs of the first round. And the first round is a good, just snapshot of really what the whole 3-round battle was like. Because I thought Twork, perfect example of Twork overthinking, while still being pretty good, but not using his powers. And Lux was like, I'm just going to be Lux, and kind of effortlessly walks through Twork in the first round. So Lux was up 1-0 clear. You get to the second. I have this round as debatable. Some people are giving it to Lux pretty clear. I think that's just the momentum of the battle. And since Twork wasn't explosive in the second, it felt like he never earned the crowd back. But I think they both have a dip in the second, to be honest. I think that Lux's round is good. Once again, rapped well, but he's lacking the highs. I feel like it's his shortest round of the battle, too. And I feel like Twork, he's working through some angles that work, some don't, some pockets that work, some don't. He just never felt overly confident in his performance. And for such a heavy energy-based battler, when Twork's not confident or bothered, he tends to show it very quick. And it looks like a stumbly, choppy performance. I don't think he was forgetting his bars. I think, he's stopping for reaction. Then he's, kind of a little pissed he's not getting it, and then going into the next setup. So his pace just isn't really great compared to someone who raps perfect. So when you have that well of rapping ability, even if your content's not the craziest, like Lux second isn't, it flows so much better. It sounds so much easier on the ears than Twork second. But I think Twork second is a little better content-wise. So I actually edged Twork that round. If you have Lux 2-0, I'm not mad at it, but I just don't think that round is clear whatsoever. So I had it 1-1 going into the third, and the third is just a lot more like the first. Twork's third is actually his worst round of the battle. It feels like he's damn near almost about to lose the crowd at one point, so he just kind of cuts it. No chokes in this Twork performance. It's just flawed. A little bit too much time impersonating Lux, a little bit too much time not doing what New Jersey Twork does best and trying to do other things, while Lux is just being Lux. And his third, he's talking to Twork's soul. I mean, there's parts where he's not even getting reaction, but you can feel the intensity of the content, how tailored it is. By the way, in the first round, the untapped potential haymaker that Lux had, set up to perfection. I mean, just absolutely incredible. Probably the bar of the battle. And the third, ends it, with a bang. Finishes out strong, and his third might be as good as his first, depending on who you talk to. So this was a Lux masterclass, whether it's 2-1 or 3-0, similar to how I first talked about Hitman and Mook. It makes no difference. Loaded Lux clearly beat New Jersey Twork and kind of whooped on him. Not even that bad of a Twork. Like a 6 out of 10 Twork. You know what I mean? There's some good material. His material is not bad. It's not his best, but his energy isn't there. His rapping ability isn't there. And I could even argue in the first, it felt like Lux neutralized what Twork was doing a little bit. It was hard for Twork to even find the same comfortability he found in the first with the audience that he did in the second and the third. And I think Lux's first and how epic it was to start has a lot to do with that, where I will compare once again, because it's crazy that they both did this a week apart, but similar to Mook and Hitman. It's not that Hitman was bad, but people just wanted to hear Mook rap again. That's who they cared about. And that's what it felt like here, where even though Twork was rapping pretty good, they were just waiting to get back to what Lux had to say to him. So saw this being a debatable battle. It wasn't, and if I saw someone winning clear beforehand, it would have been Twork, but all those advantages I thought he had went out the window because Lux was Lux. So Lux wins this battle for me, 2-1 clear in the first and third round, but you could debate a gentleman's 30, and right there with Mook having his masterclass last weekend, Lux has it now, and just showing that the originals still might be the best that we have in the game to this day. That is my full recap for Summer Madness 15. I don't know if I said my score in the very beginning. I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. If someone wants to argue like a 6, I'm not mad at that either. Even though things were lopsided with events like this, like I said with Bulletproof last weekend, there's a certain measure of impact it's supposed to have. They're not always drop-dead classics with the best battles, like 2 or 3 of the best battles of the years and stuff like that. Sometimes with these mega events, we set our expectations so high. Grudge matches usually get one-sided. Big matches like a Twork and Lux, you might have someone overthink their approach, but it's still impactful because of the conversation afterwards. Even if someone won clear, what does this do to the loser stock? What does this do to the winner stock? And who do they battle next? And that's always the fun one for me. And of course, I want to ask you guys all of your opinions on Summer Madness 15. How'd you feel about the card? Who were your performers of the night? Battles of the night? How do you feel about the results? Do you disagree with any of my takes on the card? And then who do you want to see some of these battlers battle next? For me, this is going to be super far-fetched, but I'm going to try to start manifesting it now. I think you need a rapper's rapper to face Lux. I think between the Nitty and Twork performance, he faced some of the best punching hybrid like faces of this new generation, right? And I think he needs someone that's going to go in there that's as good as at what he does as him, or at least in that realm. I would love to see B-Dot return. I know, probably wishing on a miracle, but B-Dot versus Lux, that return would hit crazy. I think that, the way their styles always got compared, he can match him in that rapping ability, have a dialogue with them. I think Lux and B-Dot would be fantastic if they can ever get B-Dot to come back and rap. And as for Twork, it's a little more, he could get the A-Ward battle done, even now on URL. It's kind of crazy. TBL just booked him an easy, let that shit go. But if they want to do Ward and Twork on URL, Twork and Fonz, neither of them were bad. I'd obviously a little bit more of a positive night for Fonz. He had rounded the night, but they could have a crazy, high-level punching clash, so I wouldn't mind that. But that's just my thoughts for, Twork and Lux. Who do you want to see them battle next? Who do you want to see for Eunice, Rock, Fonz, Ward on URL? You want to see Shoddy Hora maybe? I know Rock called him out tonight. Any opinions on the next battles for these battlers or where they go from here? Please let me know. And also, if you have any thoughts about early who could win the final champion of the year, do you feel like any part of tonight cemented someone that you have winning or changed up the combo at all? I just want to hear your guys' opinions in the comment section down below. But it's been J Smo Reviews again here, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.